You know it's Shannon After Hours, so I'm up to shenanigans. Our #1 brand. I love you, Curtis Stone. Thank you for doing our kitchen. You are the meat master, so I hear.
Yes.
So you're gonna do some indoor grilling for us. How do you pick the meat and where do I begin?
You start with good product, and then it's all about how you treat it. I've got some beautiful grass-fed beef. You want to find some that has some nice marbling through it. The chicken breasts, I have a little sage tucked up under the skin. Salmon is super fresh. And burgers I'm just making right now. As a rule of thumb, you kind of want to temper things before you cook them.
Okay.
Right? Steaks, you want to take out of the refrigerator for like 45 minutes before you cook them. So you're letting them come up to kind of room temperature. So let's get those up here. We'll get started with those first of all. You get a little salt and a little pepper.
Don't be afraid to season, right?
You've got to be generous with the seasoning. And you'll see I'm just doing one side, and then I do the pepper on there. What you need is a red hot pan, okay? So you want to hear that sizzle.
Okay.
As soon as you put your steak in. What I love to do is cook on a grill pan that has nice high ridges on those grills.
Okay.
So you're getting a little bit of extra caramelization with it. Just give it a gentle press down like that, but give it 60 seconds without messing with it. Don't be moving it.
There's always that argument, to flip or not to flip. Are you of the let it sear then flip, or what's your recommendation?
I'm of the school of turning my steak every 60 seconds. Because what's happening right now is you're making contact with the heat and the steak, so you're getting that color, that caramelization. So this isn't going to be intensely golden brown, but I'm going to flip it now because we're going to give it about 60 seconds on that side.
It's good.
Right? So you're really getting those bar marks, those beautiful grill marks that give you that real beautiful sweetness.
She's a flipper.
I'm a flipper. What can I tell you?
All right, Chef, time for Fast Five.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you could have lunch with anyone living or dead, who would it be?
My wife.
Oh, what superpower would you want to have and how would you use it?
I would stop time. Imagine if you could click your fingers and stop time. And if someone annoys you, you can stop time, pull their pants down, and then go somewhere else and start it again. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Breakfast, in bed, or romantic dinner?
Ooh. I think I'm a romantic dinner sort of a guy.
Okay. What's the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
I've surfed some pretty big waves, probably beyond my abilities. And I've landed on some reefs. So yeah, maybe surfing.
If you weren't a chef, what would you be?
I'd probably be unemployed. You know, when I first started cooking, I actually went for an apprenticeship as a gardener. And I do love being in the garden.
There you go.
This little guy creates,
I love that.
Isn't that cool? So that creates a bit of an oven. So you see all the sound disappears, and so does all the heat, which means all the heat's being kept in there, which is cool because it gets super warm. So it's kind of like turning it into a little mini convection oven.
Great. How do I tell when something is done?
This is a kinetic thermometer, so you can just give it a shake, and it'll come up. Now, on the back of this, we cheat. We tell you, if you're cooking beef, 160 is well done, 150 is medium well, 140 is medium, 130 is medium rare.
Okay.
And what we're talking about is the internal temperature. So you stick the probe into the steak, and that'll tell you when it is done.
There's also like a little test you can do with your finger as well.
If you put your finger on your thumb and press this part of your hand, that's rare. Next finger, medium rare.
Okay.
Next finger's medium well. And then the last finger is well done. No.
Okay.
So switch fingers.
Okay.
Now feel it.
Right here?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Now switch.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
See, and then if you get all the way to the pinky, it gets quite fibrous and tough.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
See, it was worth you snooping around the kitchen. I'm going to take this guy out, stick it on my resting tray, which is also really important.
Nice.
Because what the resting tray actually does is gives a little bit of circulation of air underneath. What you're doing when you're resting a piece of meat is you're letting the temperature drop ever so slightly, and the juices will redistribute back through the protein. So when you cut it, you won't lose all of the juices. They'll stay inside the steak. Okay,
Oh, that's looking good, Chef.
All right, so we let that rest.
What's your favorite junk food?
Oh, my favorite junk food is tacos.
Oh,
without
tacos.
question.
Okay.
Without question, I absolutely love tacos. We live in Southern California, so we're lucky because we get all sorts of beautiful Mexican food down there. Put just a tiny bit of oil on the chicken skin,
Okay.
right? Now, you don't absolutely need to do it, but I like to because it gives it that extra little sort of crispiness. A little pepper and a little salt. You don't need the pan to be too hot for this. You know, it's okay actually if it's not super hot, because what's going to happen if it is too hot is that skin will sort of shrink up too fast. So what I've done here is I'll show you my trick. I pull the skin back and I put the sage underneath.
Sure.
Now you can also put a little butter under there if
That's
you
a
like.
good tip.
Yeah, it's a nice way to do it. You don't want to mess around with the skin. You want to let it sort of set, as it were.
Right.
So you see how we've got a little bit of colour on the chicken breast, but not enough,
Right.
So what we do is we start it that way, and then we pop it back over.
That's beautiful.
And we're going to let it get a little crispier. Now, with this, you can use just a tiny bit of oil if you want to.
Okay.
Because you don't want chicken to be too dry, right? So I put just a little drop of oil on that.
Beautiful. All right, if you were stranded on a desert island, what
Yes.
would be the one food you couldn't live without?
Chocolate. I love it. I have a real sweet tooth. I always have. And I'm not ashamed of it.
All right, so Chef, talk about what you're doing right now with the burgers.
Okay, so I've got a burger press. I take a grind that I like. You know, that's a very personal thing. You could have 80% lean, 20% fat. You could even go higher and have even more fat in it. I don't like it too lean for a burger, to be honest, but I press it without overworking the meat. You don't want to mix it too much.
Right.
I don't put anything else in it. I don't put mustard or onions or anything in it, but I do season it with salt and pepper before I actually cook it.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
What's the importance of having similar or same-sized burgers before you cook?
Very important, actually, and that's one of the great things of the burger press. You can press half pound or third pound, because then you know that they're all going to cook really evenly,
Right.
and that's obviously key.
What's the best way to cut the meat?
This is a slice of a ribeye, so the grain is running this way.
Gotcha.
All right. So the best way to cut a ribeye isn't on a bias; it's directly across.
Oh.
You know, so if you leave your steak a little thicker and just go ahead and cut straight across the steak, then you're effectively cutting with the grain. But then when you cut it on the plate, it will be against the grain. Look, you can fan it, and let me show you just a slice.
Yeah.
Look how perfectly pink that
wow,
is,
that's
right?
gorgeous.
So you're going to get that every single time if you cook it the right way. You ready for a taste?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that's good.
What do you think?
That's good. Thank you for grilling and chilling with me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Anytime.
That's our kitchen. It's a wrap.